a little bit of help with this. I always have to record the session, but okay. If I miss it, you will miss it. You won't have it recorded. I upload all the recordings to a YouTube channel, okay? My YouTube channel, but I do a playlist for your course, and I paste all the videos that we do. So it is very helpful when we are watching exercises, because all the exercises are recorded, so you won't forget how to do them. And let's begin. So guys, just confirm to me that you're hearing everything perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Yes. That's it. So today's goals, guys, is to learn what is the balance sheet. Who can remember to me what is the balance sheet and what is their main elements? What are the main elements of the balance sheet? Go ahead. Who wants to go? Just turn on the what?
The equity, the liability.
And the assets.
Yes, that's right.
Perfect. And we also will learn what is the income statement. Who can tell me the elements of the income statement?
It was assets, liabilities, equity. No, or that's for the balance sheet, right?
That's for the balance sheet.
Miss Sebastian, profit and losses, income, costs, and expenses.
It's income, costs, and expenses. Perfect.
Oh.
Just let me see, guys. Okay. Okay, perfect. Just wanted, yeah, just I was checking out that if you did your quizzes. Has anybody did their first quiz?
I didn't, because I thought the class was tomorrow, because I just yesterday I inscribed myself to this class, so I didn't know that I had to do like the test.
But Mr. A diferencia de Laura, yo sí lo hice. O sea, estamos cagados, aplicado.
I also wrote to the class yesterday.
Is that the ones who were in your accounting? The ones that were in your accounting class, we just enrolled yesterday to this class because it's for next semester, but we wanted to be like with the two classes together. So can we do it for tomorrow, the quiz?
Don't worry, it's not even obligatory. You can do it.
Okay.
Perfect. So, but we do have people who did it. Who did the quiz, guys? The class assessment quiz.
I did it.
And how did you feel it, Melanie?
I'm a little bit confused
Okay,
between debit and credit.
awesome. That's what we're gonna reinforce today. And Sebastian, you also did it?
No, I just enrolled a class 2 yesterday.
The other Sebastian.
Yeah, Mr. Aplicado. Siempre paso adelante.
But how did you do it? How did it go?
Horrible, Mr. Haciéndole sincero, me da pena que mire mis resultados.
Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. It's
Yeah.
just to, as I told you, it's to know what's the level. Okay, don't worry. So let's begin with the content of today. So what is the balance sheet? This is the definition. I will tell you my criteria also. It's the balance sheet is the financial statement that reports a company's asset, liabilities, and shareholders' equity at a specific point in time. So who can remember to me what is an asset? What's the definition of an asset? Melanie, what's the definition of an asset?
Resources and right of claim.
Awesome, nice. And the liability?
The obligation to pay.
The obligation to pay. Awesome. Ah, hello. Hello, hello.
Teacher,
Welcome.
I'm on the waiting room.
Oh yeah, sorry for that, Natalia.
Do you hear me?
Perfect. And guys, the resources and the right to claim our assets, liabilities is the obligation to pay something in the future. And the equity, who can explain to me what's the shareholders' equity?
The subtract of liabilities, assets.
Come on.
La plusvalía.
The equity, guys, the equity, it's also an obligation to pay, okay? The difference is the risk between both the liabilities and the equity, okay, guys? It's, remember, the difference between the liabilities and the equity section is the risk. Does anybody of you have an idea of why the risk? What is the risk component? Why is different a debt from a shareholder?
I think that the liability, you have like a end date when you need to pay it, so it's more important than the equity.
And what happens if you don't pay a debt?
Well, you can have legal problems.
Okay. And what happens if you don't pay to your shareholders?
They can wait.
Why they can wait?
Because maybe you have, as a shareholder, you need to know that the company needs to pay. Maybe if you buy packages for your product, you need to pay first that person that it's providing you that.
I totally agree, Jose. Very good. Did everybody got that kind of definition? What is the difference between a debt and a shareholder? Shareholders are expecting two things, guys. Obviously, it's an economic benefit, but how would you get an economic benefit from a company if you are a shareholder? Who can tell me the first component? How you get an economic benefit from a company by being shareholder? The company will pay you dividends, right? That's the economic benefit. So shareholders are expecting dividends. And more important than the dividends, guys, learn this. This is more important than the dividends, because this is the place where you get your valuation or your 2x multiple of your return on investment. If the company grows in value, your stock will be worth more, right? So you're expecting an economic benefit by the growth of the economic performance of the company and the dividend. But you also receive part of the risk of the enterprise, because you will be paid after the company delivers some performance. Okay, that's why the difference between a debt and equity is the risk. You as a shareholder are attached to the risk of the company. If they don't have profits, they won't pay you any dividends. While if you are a debtor or you are part of the liability, you might be subject to be paid. It depends also. It depends. Why? Because maybe if you're a bank and you have a mortgage backup that backs up the debt, maybe you will get paid, because otherwise somebody's gonna lose their house. But if you are a supplier that doesn't have any like liability or something attached to the debt, maybe you won't get paid. So guys, learn this first. Please, you're watching like balance sheet is assets, the right to collect or claim, resources of the firm, liabilities, debts, the obligation to pay something, and the equity is the people who possess the right for the economic benefits of the firm. As you're watching, this is a balance sheet. The difference between a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement is the balance sheet will cover all the information since day one of operations until the day that you want to have a picture of the company. So that's why when you see balance sheets, let me show you one. When you see balance sheets, you will see at or at this moment, you won't see any balance sheet from the 1st of July to the 31st. You won't see that because it covers all the operations since the beginning of times until that date. Because it is a balance, like your balance statement from your banks cover all the time. They have an initial balance which is given by the previous balance of the previous month, and they start all the operations from there. For those who have seen their bank statement, I hope you all do. Do you have debit cards, guys? All of you have debit cards?
Yeah.
Credit cards?
No.
Yep.
Perfect. We will learn to use them, huh?
Teacher,
Use them. Yes?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask you to confirm. So the difference between debts and shareholders is that
Mhm.
shareholders expect dividends and economic benefit. And the main reason that they're different is that in a debt, there's no risk, and in shareholders, there's risk.
W- I didn't mention that in debt there's no risk. Be
Okay.
careful. In
Okay.
everything that you do and invest, you
Mhm.
will have risk.
Okay, so what's the main
But
difference?
let's put an example into this question.
Mm-hmm.
Whom of these two persons have more risk? The shareholder or a bank that lends you some money for operations, and that money is backed up by your house? Who has more risk?
The shareholders.
It's because
Exactly. Why?
like shareholders are like they know they can get their money back or not, right? Like
They can lose money because they're investing in something that they don't know if that it's going to grow or it's going to fail.
it's like
Perfect.
in loans,
And
you're
if they don't pay, the bank can go for the house, no, and pay themselves, so they have less risk. So
Okay.
what's the difference? As an investor, you're expecting to have greater returns than by being a loaner.
Mhm, mhm. Okay.
Why? Because the debt is going to charge you an interest rate that it's accordingly to the market of that type of debt. Okay. But the investor is not, they don't have like anything related to that. So they are expecting that their gain is more than the interest rate. So learn that relation. We will be speaking about that relation the whole course. The relation between risk and returns. The more that you have risk, the more that you have returns. So let me show you. This is what I wanted to show you. As you're watching, guys, just let me admit Sebastian. Perfect. So you're watching here a balance sheet that we reviewed the last session, guys. As I told you, September 25th, 2021 and September 26th, 2020. So they report on September, but you're not watching since this date until September 25th. It's just September 25th. What's the difference between the balance sheet and the income statement? Let's see. Let's see. The net income income statement is no, this is income. Wait. Yes. Consolidated statements of operations. Okay. The difference is that they are telling us years ended. This is meant to be like we are covering since the 26th of September 2020 until September 2021. So the income statement covers a period of time. The balance sheet covers since the beginning of time. Remember, that's a balance. The profit and loss covers a period of time, and you always have to establish that period of time. Let's get back. So what is the income statement? An income statement is a financial statement that shows you the company's income and expenditures. It also shows whether a company is making profit or losses for a given period. Remember, periods of time. Let me take myself in here. So the income statement, as I told you the previous session, it's just a way to show an account from the equity section and equity proportion. In your balance sheet, you will have an account called current period earnings or this year earnings. Yes, go ahead, David.
Teacher, could you go back for 1 second? Thank you.
Remember to write in blue, huh?
Yes.
So guys, remember the income statement is a detailed way to show an account from the balance sheet. What is the account in the balance sheet? It's called current period earnings or profits and earnings or profits and losses from this year. Okay. It is a more detailed way because you show the revenues, which are the mechanisms where income enters the company. And revenue and income are not the same thing. I will explain it afterwards. So expenses, you will decrease the expenses, which is the cost of doing business, like salaries, expenses, rent, utilities expense, and interest borrowed money. So the income, I don't want to confuse you. Let's go ahead and let's go with the definition of what is accounting. Accounting is the action or process of recording financial transactions. And based on the criteria of the previous questions, and that criteria is established by an accounting principle, we talked about it. GAAP, what is GAAP, guys? Who can tell me what is GAAP?
Mr. is
I know what.
generic accepted accounting principle.
Exactly, nice. And IFRS is
I know.
financial reporting standards.
Reporting standards.
Awesome. Welcome, Grace. I didn't saw you. So, guys, this, I think remember my objective from the whole course to learn these 5 things. This is it. This is what I need you to learn. This table. Learn it, memorize it. If it will be easy to memorize it, obviously I want you to understand it more than memorize it, but this is how you do public records. This is the beginning. So the statement is you have the balance sheet and the income statement. Account names: assets, liabilities, equity, income, cost, and expense. This is what I need you to learn. This how to differentiate these 6. So in all of the accounts, please get this idea. In all the accounts, you will have debits and credit in all of them. But the nature account of the accounts tells you how much or whom of those 2 movements should be bigger. For example, the asset has a nature of accounts as a debit. It increases with debit and decreases with credit. But the final result should be that you have more debits than credits. There is no way to show in a balance sheet a negative asset. That is something incorrect. Now the liabilities decrease with debit and increase with credits. Then the liabilities should be higher as credits. you should have more credits than debits. The same with the equity, okay? The same with the equity. And this is when it gets a little bit confusing because a lot of people think that the income or the revenue or the sales that it's part of the income statement are debit nature. Income are credits, have credit nature, okay? Let me go ahead again, guys. Liabilities, equity, and income have credit nature. And it's a very simple reasoning. Remember always this. Liabilities are debts and equities are debts. The difference between both are risks. But at the end, both are debts. One with your shareholders and one with the debtors, okay? So, with that in mind, if you receive a sale into your accounting system, a sale, and you don't have any expenses from that sale, to whom you owe that money? To which person you owe that money of the sale?
To the shareholders?
Exactly. That's why the income is a credit nature, because at the end, it's a debt to your shareholders. That's why you owe them. Do you owe them only that? No, that's why you subtract what it costs you to sell that or to do that sale. And you'd only give them the remaining, which is called profit or loss. Okay? And that's why the cost and expenses have a debit nature, because it decreases what you owe to the shareholders. So guys, remember, assets, cost, and expenses have a debit nature. Liabilities, equity, and income have a credit nature. Are you ready to do some exercise? Who can tell me what is this?
Balance sheet.
No.
That's the number. No, that's the number like of the counts. Like each, like cash have a specific number.
Es como la lista de los
Es como una bibliografía.
Yes. Yes. Don't learn the definition, but at the end, this is like the main database. This is what everything will be summarized into. This is the chart of accounts. When you open a new accounting software, the first thing that it will request to you is give me your chart of accounts. Okay, even the IRS right now requests to you to upload the chart of accounts. Okay. And what is this?
Ledger.
Yes, I know it's a ledger.
Yeah.
Explain it to me.
Maybe the ledger, but it's where you see the type of account, like where
Perfect.
it belongs and for what it is used, and like the, well, here you say particulars. That means like what's the situation that it's
Yes.
facing.
You put a description to make it easier to read. Okay. Is it required? No, it's not required, but do it, fulfill it. It will help your accountant. And what is the DR or CR? What does it mean? Debit or credit. The same thing that I'm just telling you. Debit, credits, perfect. And the account name comes from the chart of accounts. Okay. And debits and credits. Guys, remember that I told you that the accounting system is a database. This is the database. Okay. So take out your Excels, please. Take out your Excel files. Just give me 1 second. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Everything good? Yes. So guys, let's go one by one, okay? Please copy the first exercise. I created a new company and finally got my bank account. Today, I did a deposit into my bank account with the first batch of cash funds in order to provide working capital to my company. What did my accountant registered? Please copy the first line, just the first line, okay?
Capital. It'll be the capital, right?
Let's see. Once you copy the first line, guys, let's do a general ledger, what you just saw. Remember the elements of the ledger? We have a date, an account, and debit and credit. That's the minimum required. We won't put the description because you have the description in here, okay? But put date, account, debit, and credit. This is another way to show the T accounts, guys. Do you want to see the T account format? This is the T account. Rather than just putting the name in here, you put the name in here, and that's it, no? That's called a T account. That's why I told you that you will see T accounts in here, or more properly said, you will see general ledgers in here. So guys, first question, who can tell me the correct register, accounting register? If I put money into my company, what is that called?
Capital.
It's called shareholder equity, right? Capital, it's the same, it's a synonym. That's why I told you, learn the purpose, not the name, because there are people who call it capital. Shareholders equity, it's what it's more commonly used. So we have shareholders equity. And obviously, guys, I'm just assuming that you know that in accounting for every debit you have a credit, right? Does anybody okay agrees with that? I think that
Yes,
they
it-
show that in high school. So for every debit, have a credit. So if you add up everything, what's the final result? If for every debit you have a credit, if you add everything up, what's the final result?
It will be the same amount.
Zero.
It will
Yes,
be the
it's the
same
same.
amount. So if the credits and the debits are positives and the credits are negatives, and both are the same amount, the final result is 0. If you receive a general ledger which is not 0, something is wrong. If you receive a trial balance where you add everything up and it's not 0, there's something wrong. You have always to do that checkup. First of
Teacher,
all, you
but
receive.
how in 0 if we have
You will
numbers?
see it. You will
Okay.
see it. I will add it in here so you can see that for every debit you have a negative
okay.
credit.
Like subtract it, like do the plus. Okay. Now I understand. Okay.
Okay. So guys, we know that if you put that money into your company, that's called shareholders' equity. Okay. Shareholders' equity, what is the nature of it? What's the nature of shareholders' equity?
It's debit, ¿no?
It's
Debit,
Porque va dentro de la empresa. ¿no?
Sí, no está
or
entrando.
it will be a credit. It's credit. It's credit.
Who,
Because
a ver, raise your hand who think it's debit. Sebastián,
Sí.
you think it's debit?
Yeah, because if the shareholder equity is still in the business, if his dividends is gonna be credit because it's going out.
Guys, who think it's credit? Raise your hand.
Yo a ver que Sosa está un calado, pero bueno.
no lo, o sea,
Ari, Melanie, Laura. Okay. Who can explain to me why do you think it's credit?
I would say it's credit because it's first of all, it's a shareholder. You don't know, you're risking it. So you don't know if you're going to get it back at some point.
It is a debt because somebody is giving it to you. The only difference between
I got it correctly.
no, you don't.
No.
You didn't get it correct.
Pero por lo menos supe que era de él.
Sí, there.
So
Hear it. What I told you is, it is a debt to your shareholder. Remember, debts are
Exactly, but-
credits.
But I have a question, like each account that names equity, it's a debit, right?
No. Let's go to your nature of accounts. Go nature of account equity. It has a credit nature. It increases with credits. So guys, you will have how much I deposited? Let's do $100, okay? Because it doesn't say in the instruction, that's my bad. So $100. But for every credit, we have a debit, right? What's the
Yeah.
debit?
100.
Yes,
cost
it's 100, but into what account?
Mr. Question. This is the one of the problems in the student profile, right?
What?
This one that we're doing now.
Yes, what
So-
we're doing.
It will be the capital, it increases, right?
The
that would be
capital is the
uh,
shareholders' equity.
No, so what would the debt would increase?
This is a debt.
No.
Remember that the difference between a liability and the equity is the risk. This guy that you owe him 100, who
Mhm.
is your shareholder, he doesn't know if you're going to pay him those 100. He doesn't know it.
Exactly.
A debtor or a liability, They know it. They know it because they have a contract. Maybe they have your house.
Mhm. So, what would be the,
So-
like the account for debit?
Let's do it again. Let's do it. The debit
Okay.
side, guys. I'm Enrique, who opened a new company. From my wallet, I took 100 and give it to my company. What is that for my company?
The shareholders' equity.
Yes, because they owe them to
Uh-huh.
me. But for every debit, you have a credit. And for every
Exactly.
credit, you have a debit. What is the debit?
That's what I don't know.
It's in the same amount, but on the opposite.
Yeah, but what would be the account? O sea,
What thing did Enrique give to the company?
money. Bank.
So the accounting system
Bank.
from my
It will be
company
bank.
is showing that they have as a resource $100, which was provided by their shareholder.
Exactly. So that okay. Well, I understand.
Awesome. This is the main issue with the students profiling. The previous session or course didn't know how to do bookkeeping. Okay. So if you don't know how to bookkeep, you don't know how to read a balance sheet or neither an income statement. So guys, question number 2. Let's go to the question number 2. First day of operations, and I did a credit sale for $100. This is more hard. First day of operations, and I did a credit sale for $100. Who can help me? What did my accountant register? Laura, you are muted. But
Is that
let's.
in here? We're like, okay.
Trying to
Okay,
figure.
okay, don't worry. Yes, go ahead. Figure it out, guys. If somebody knows the answer, please tell me. Raise their hand. Your hand.
It's credit. It's an increase in credit.
Increase in credit. Okay, increase in credit. Is that a debit or a credit?
Credit.
Credit for 100?
Yes.
Okay, but the account name?
It's sales.
Sales?
Sería el debit.
No, porque sales es income, ¿no?
Depende de quién esté dando el crédito. O sea, porque tú lo puedes.
I told you it was harder. Melanie, this is accounting 101, okay? Since its beginnings.
So how?
Ven.
So it will be on the credit side.
Because a credit sale.
Credit sale. No sé. ¿Dónde está? ¿Se trabó? No.
O sea,
Wait, I'm here. Just give me a second.
Okay. O sea, estaría en la cuenta de sales, pero estaría el monto en credit, porque todavía no hemos tenido, o sea, todavía no entraba el dinero a la compañía, ¿no?
O sea, entonces, sí, está, sí.
Sí, el micrófono está. I think it is a debit, because we have a sale.
Ajá,
We don't
sales
have the money,
grow.
but we have a sale.
Ajá,
Tenés-
sales grow, but bank,
No manches the assets. O sea, porque tu aire o lo que vendiste ya no lo tenés.
O sea, como el inventory.
Ajá.
inventory.
O sea, disminuye el
Inventory.
inventory.
Sorry, guys. My boss is requesting some help. So go ahead. What was your conclusion about this fight?
Okay, so that
Disminuye.
Credit. Inventory will be in credit and the sales will be on debit, right? No, yes. No, sales will be on credit
Okay,
and inventory.
I
will-
think I think we have a mislead in here. Give me one second and I explain myself. I
Okay.
didn't tell you what is revenue or sales, cost and expenses, right?
No.
We didn't mention what is that. Well, I told you it's in the presentation. It's recorded, but
Okay.
I didn't explain my way. The sales, guys, it's money that you owe the shareholder, right? But what is the sale for a company?
Inventory.
No.
And income.
What is the transaction of selling?
Income. Income.
Perfect. Yes, it is income. And selling is what you get from customers, right? That's the
Mhm.
purpose of the business, to sell something. Even Anahuac, which is a non-profit organization, sells something. What does Anahuac sells? Services.
An
Perfect.
experience.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
experience.
Yeah.
Educational services. Okay. And
Teacher,
what are
so-
costs and expenses? Who can tell me what are costs and expenses?
Expense, okay. Expenses are like,
So we know that the service is what Anahuac sells, but what is the cost for Anahuac and the expense for Anahuac?
The
Professors,
Yes, of
also
course.
things like what they need to pay in order to give the students what they're paying for.
What they are paying as an expense, or like the professors, in order to provide that service that you charge, no? Like, for example, what is the cost or expense for Apple? For an iPhone or for a laptop of Apple, what is the cost of a laptop? Anybody?
Or like how much how much is the cost for them to do the computer?
Build it. To
Ah,
build
okay.
it.
So they need to have
But is the same price that they paid for building, that the price that they sell to the general public?
no, because they need to have a game.
Profit from it, right? Okay, so costs and expenses are also meant to be resources that the companies use in order to sell. The biggest difference between a cost and expense and an asset, which is also a resource, is the period of time that they use that resource. Okay? Expenses are meant to be for a short period of time. For example, the rent. If you pay a monthly rent, it is an expense because it represents only a month of rent. But what if you prepaid because it also can happen, 12 months of rent? Would that be an expense?
yes,
Yes,
because it's for
It's-
a
it's
specific
for-
period of
it's,
time.
for
Be
more time.
careful. Be careful.
no?
That could be possibly an asset.
teacher.
Yes.
So if we put the example of the school, the cost may be like the chairs, the boards, and the TVs, and expense maybe like water, light that we need to pay monthly.
Can you repeat again, Jose?
So maybe if we put this into the example of Anahuac, The cost,
Mhm.
it's like everything that the school has, like chairs, TVs, boards.
No, wait, that's why I'm explaining the difference between, I think the income you get it, no, right? Sales. I didn't see any issue with understanding those. But people gets very confused with this. Assets, the cost and expenses have a lot of similarities. The difference between a cost and expense and an asset is the period of time in which those are used. The period of time of the chair is short. That's a question. Is it short, the period of time that we're expecting to use a chair?
No.
So that becomes an asset.
Resource.
An
Asset.
asset.
Uh-huh.
Sí, por eso la renta también.
So that's why they
No,
have
wait. The rent, we talked about two cases in the rent. I told you a monthly rent, if you're paying a monthly rent, which you already used, that's an expense. But what if I prepaid the next year rent
Okay.
in advance, because rather that cost me on a monthly average 10,000 per month, if I prepay it, I get 8,000 or 200 or 2,000 discount, 20% discount if you prepay it. Would you prepay it? Maybe it's in your interest, it would increase profit for the next year, but that resource or that part that you gave as a prepayment is an asset, not an expense.
A prepayment.
So there are two things that you have to differentiate. One, first, to question yourself is the period of time in which we will use it, okay? And this is very important, guys. You will hear it a lot from accountants. It's something called Principio de Devengación Contable. Devengation principle. It sounds very, oh, devengation. No, it's very simple. Guys, let's go again with the simple example is what I just told you, the prepayment. So if we prepay the next year, 2023, rent for the whole campus, I rented a campus. How would you make it from an asset that it is right now and you take it as an expense? This is with the devengation principle. The devengation principle tells you that it will become an expense when you use that right to claim. Remember the concept of the asset? The prepayment for myself was the right to claim. What was the right to claim? The right to claim the possession of a building. But if we get to the January 31st, I don't have any more that right to claim because I already claim it. If I arrive to the January 31st of 2023, I don't have any more that right to claim because I already claim it. So that part becomes an expense rather than an asset. That's the devengation principle. And it's very simple because what if we are in January 1st of 2023 and in that day something happened to myself, right? And I can tell the school, hey, please give me back my funds because I don't want to rent you anymore. So that become an asset. It is still an asset because you had the right to claim something and you claim it back as a reimbursement. And now you have, rather than a prepayment of rent, now you have money. Okay, so we will be seeing a lot of cases to get that clear. I didn't want to give you the devengation principle, but it was important right now. So guys, let's get back to the sales example. It's because I didn't give you my personal view of what is an income, an expense, and a cost. The difference between a cost and expense is very easy. It's not like the asset and the expense. The difference between a cost and an expense, both are the same nature of accounts. But the only thing is that the cost is related to the selling process. Okay. For example, what is the cost of an AWACS? You told me professors, because without professors, you can't sell. But in the pandemics, put yourself in the pandemics. The building of an AWAC, would that be an expense or a cost? The office building rent, would that be a cost or an expense?
An expense.
Why? Because they
Because-
still be able to sell services without having the building. It's not related to the selling process.
Like there's no money coming in.
Yes, it's easier. I'm just telling you the hard example, but very easy with something like with a cell phone. The cost of the cell phone is everything that you see, but the administrator of Samsung is part of the cost or the expense.
Cost because it's related to the sale.
The administrator of Samsung is part of the cost or an expense.
Expense, no cost. No,
It is part of the expense because you don't need the administrator to sell something. You already have something, no? You have this physical.
Like the cost,
So did
the money.
The cost
Name,
is everything
service that you're
that you
giving.
are watching.
So teacher, the salesman is a cost.
The salesman is cost. That's totally correct. The building rent is not cost because you don't need that to sell.
So, Mr., the manager is
not
gonna
a-
be expense and the salesman is a cost.
What?
The manager is gonna be an expense and a salesman is a cost.
Do you need your manager to sell?
No.
No.
If you need it, it would be part of your cost. If you don't need it, it's not part of your cost.
So perhaps, look, we're talking about like a monthly salary or like the percentage that we're gonna
The
give.
monthly salary, it's part of the expense.
But
But Melanie gave a great example. If it's the salary of a sales representative, then it is a cost.
Like the necessary for the income are cost.
Exactly. The necessary things to get the income, it's part of your
It's a
costs.
And the things that we don't need to sell, it's an expense.
Well, that's why it's understand the purpose, because at the end, like maybe a NAWAC does need the building to sell, right?
Are cost.
Mhm.
But it's not directly related to that selling part, and you can watch it very easily. And in the pandemics, and NAWAC still sold services without having to go to the building.
Online.
Okay,
Okay.
so getting back to question number 2,
Getting back to question number 2, first day of operations, and I did a credit sale. What is a credit sale?
A sale that we don't have the money yet. but we-
Awesome. What are assets? Who can tell me the definition of assets?
It's
Resources and right to claim.
the
Is
right
that the
to-
right to claim?
No, are there resources?
So we know that it is an asset. I don't know the account name, but it is an asset.
It could be like inventory.
The common name when you give credits, it's called accounts receivable.
Oh.
For how much? For 100. Perfect. 100 of accounts receivable. No, wait. And we know the name, but we're missing the debit and credit.
Accounts receivable. And entonces cost.
If it's an asset, what's the nature of accounts of assets? How do you know it's debit?
Asset increase on the debit. Okay.
Mhm.
Sure.
You're getting it, guys.
Sí, está todo bien.
Mhm.
Estuvimos bien.
And
De los
what's
assets
for every debit you have a credit? We're missing the credit.
Accounts receivable. ¿Y cuál sería sería
inventory.
inventory
Inventory
decreasing? Ajá.
disminuye.
Ajá.
Inventory.
What was the action, guys? First day of operations, and I did a credit sale.
Entonces, account
Sale.
receivable is debit.
What?
Account receivable should be debit.
Perfect. And what's the credit?
Inventory because.
Sales.
Sales.
Why inventory? Inventory, what is inventory, guys?
Inventory is our merchandise, like the things our product, the things we're selling.
And we don't have it any longer, so it decreases.
But in here, we are not talking about inventories. This is a service company.
Us.
Oh.
It's a sale.
Here in the question, you don't have anything related to
Oh.
what, if
So
I'm
the
selling
sales-
something.
Sales increase.
Sales increase in credit, uh-huh.
Sales increasing. You're nailing it. Very good. What are sales? It's called income, revenue, sales. Just be very careful, guys, because in the US, and it's something very commonly used, revenue
Mhm.
means margen.
Margen.
We will see margen in the future.
Okay.
But the general or the common used account name is sales or income,
Mhm.
not revenue, because in actual translation, revenue means sales. In actual translation, but they use it for margins, and it's very different. Okay, so don't get lost with that. The last one, and we go. Okay. From the previous operation where I sold $100 to be paid in the future, as it was a credit operation, the cost of that operation is $50 to be paid in the future.
Mismo, es accounts receivable.
50.
But like we receive 50 and in the future they're gonna pay us 50.
Es lo mismo. Account receivable will be on debit 50.
And the previous version is lower.
Wait. Don't get lost. Let's read it carefully again. From the previous operation where I sold 100 to be paid in the future, as it was a credit operation, because it was, the cost of that operation was $50.
So it would
Sacaron
be
50.
an income of 50 and the cost.
No, te costó hacer eso 50.
Bueno, pero son 100, entonces 50.
Laura,
de-
esa manera de pensar es correcta.
¿Cuál? ¿Yo?
Laura, sí,
Sí, te costó 50.
Si me cuesta 50,
es correcto.
recibo 50 y 50 de los costos.
No.
Wait. And in actual Spanish translation, guys, because this is being recorded and I'm not able to speak in Spanish, es de las ventas de crédito me costaron $50 que pagaré en el futuro.
O sea, todavía no lo ha pagado.
No, dice in the future, o sea, no hemos ni siquiera recibido el dinero.
Wait, no. No es de que vayas a recibir dinero de aquí, Grecia. Es, ¿te costó hacer la venta? Aquí dice costo. ¿Cuáles son los elementos del profit and loss statement? Elementos del profit and loss statement. Income, cost, and expenses. Income, cost, and expenses. Cost,
Cost increases in debit.
cost increase in debit.
Ajá. Sí.
Expenses increase in debit. Y
Expenses increase in debit. So
income increases in credit.
this operation is what?
It's a cost.
It's a cost. Of how many? Of how much?
$50.
So we have cost.
Ajá.
Cost increase with debit or credit?
Debit.
With debit. And what is the credit of that cost?
Credit sale?
Analyze it, guys. To be paid in the future.
Por eso.
You will pay it
Eh,
in the future.
Accounts receivable.
Is that
Accounts-
a right to claim? If you
There is
will
a right
pay
to
it
claim.
in
It's
the
an
future?
No es el right to pay.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Sí,
Vamos a pagar el
Is,
futuro, es el right
is
to
that
pay.
a right to claim something? Or is the obligation to pay something
pay.
in
to
the
pay
future?
something.
It's right
Age?
to pay.
It's the, you have to pay.
Is that right to pay?
It's the obligation to pay.
A right to pay es que nos entra.
That's why I told you that you have to learn and memorize the nature of accounts and the elements, which is asset, liability, equity, income, costs, and expenses.
But a
Six
right
things,
to pay,
guys.
what would it be?
What?
A right to pay, what would
No,
it be?
there is no right to pay in here.
Right
Obligation.
of claim. Because
It's
we
the
make
right to
payment.
claim, which
So we
has,
have-
which is an asset,
Mhm.
and the liability is the obligation to pay.
Ajá.
So this is a liability.
Yes.
Teacher,
Para el futuro es liability.
teacher, I think I know it in Spanish. It's like cuentas por pagar.
It is cuentas por pagar, accounts payable. Accounts payable, which is a liability. Okay, guys, you have everything recorded. I will upload it to YouTube. You will have this session available, okay? But we will keep going with all the other questions in the next class. So have an excellent weekend. See you tomorrow, some of you.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for the class and take care.